You know, when most people see a financial report, they see a wall of boring numbers. But what if I told you they're actually detective stories? Seriously, hidden in those columns are stories of huge wins, epic fails, and high-stakes gambles. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats and solve one of these mysteries, using nothing but the numbers. So, let's get into it.
So here's our mystery. We're looking at one company, but two totally different results, and they're only 6 months apart. It's some serious financial whiplash, and we're going to find out why. Just take a look at this. In one quarter, the company is celebrating a pretty decent profit of 75 lakh rupees. But then, just a little while later, bam! They've absolutely cratered to a massive 3.5 crore rupee loss. That is not just a little dip, that's a wild swing from the black into the deep, deep red.
So, the big question is, what on earth happened here, right? Was it some huge disaster? A scandal? Just a really, really bad decision? Well, we're going to dig into the reports and find the clues to solve this thing.
Okay, so like any good detective, our first step is to get to know our subject. And the company at the center of this whole mystery is 21st Century Management Services Limited. And right away, we get our first huge clue. We have to understand what these guys actually do. See, 21st Century isn't selling you a phone or some software. Their report says their business is capital market operations. Now, in plain English, that means they're in the business of playing the stock market, trading, investing, the whole shebang. Their entire fortune is tied to the ups and downs of the market. You're going to want to remember that. It's a big deal. So before we figure out what went so wrong, let's first take a look at what right looks like for this company. We're going to dissect a good quarter to see how all the pieces are supposed to fit together. All right, so let's hop in our time machine and go back to the quarter that ended on September 30th, 2019. This is going to be our baseline, our picture of a good quarter.
First thing we look at is revenue. This is basically the money coming in the front door from their main business, right? And in this quarter, they pulled in a solid 1.33 crore rupees. That's the income they made from all their trading and investing.
Of course, you know the saying, it costs money to make money. So now we look at expenses, everything they had to spend to keep the business running. And during this time, their total costs were just under 60 lakh rupees. And what's cool is we can see exactly where that money went. I mean, look at this. The biggest piece by a long shot is employee benefits. That's salaries and stuff, over 45 lakhs. Then you've got these smaller chunks for things like professional fees and other day-to-day expenses. It gives us a really clear picture of where their money's going. And this is where it all comes together. It's just simple math, really. The revenue bar is way, way taller than the expenses bar. And when your income is bigger than your costs, congratulations, you've got a profit. In this case, it was about 75 lakh rupees before tax. Easy, clear, positive. Everything's looking good. Okay, so we've seen what a good quarter looks like. We get it. Now, with that knowledge in our back pocket, let's head back to the scene of the crime. That quarter where everything just fell apart. So, let's jump forward 6 months to the quarter ending March 31st, 2020. This is where the plot really thickens. We saw that profit comes from revenue being higher than expenses. But what happens when the money isn't just low? What if the revenue itself is negative? How does that even work? And there it is, the smoking gun. In this quarter, the company's revenue from operations wasn't low, it wasn't zero, it was negative 2.9 crore rupees. I mean, just let that sink in. How is that even possible? And here's the answer. This is the absolute key to the whole mystery. For a company that plays the stock market, negative revenue isn't about customer refunds. No, it means their investments lost value. They didn't just fail to make money from their main business actively lost them money. Their trades went bad, their bets didn't pay off, and they were down 2.9 crores before they even paid a single salary. This one number, this is what caused that massive, dramatic swing. So, okay, we've cracked the case of the one bad quarter. But was this just a one-time thing, a total fluke? Or is this part of a bigger pattern? Let's zoom out and see. Whoa, this timeline of their profits and losses, it basically tells you everything you need to know. Just look at these wild swings. A 2.35 crore loss here, then our 75 lakh profit there, then the big 3.5 crore loss we investigated, and then they bounce right back with a 1.45 crore profit. This is not the story of a stable, growing company. This is a roller coaster, plain and simple. And that really is the main story here. This financial report isn't telling us about a company that's failing at making a product. Nope, it's telling the story of a market player that's just riding the waves. And sometimes they catch a huge one, and other times they just get completely wiped out. Their success is tied directly to how crazy the market is.
So, what do we learn from all this? Well, we cracked the case, which is cool, but more importantly, we picked up some serious skills that you can use on pretty much any financial report you ever look at.
So here it is, your new detective toolkit, based on exactly what we just did together. First, remember, we figured out what the company actually does. That was our first big clue. Then, we did the simple math. Compare the money coming in to the money going out. Then, we spotted that really weird number, that negative revenue, and we dug into it, because the weird numbers are always where the real story is hiding. And finally, we didn't just look at one quarter in isolation. We looked for the pattern over time.
Because that's the real power here. Every single financial report out there is a story just waiting for someone to read it. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the story that those numbers are trying to tell you. So the only question left is, what will you discover in the next one you read?